The thumb moves across the polished glass surface of the phone, not because a message has arrived, but simply because the motion feels right. It is an action detached from intention, a mindless maintenance of connection that demands no actual input. The act itself requires zero cognitive energy, yet it structures the entire internal landscape of attention, defining what we notice and what we ignore. This reflexive reaching for the screen generates a subtle friction against the self. We perform this habitually, this scrolling, refreshing, checking, and rarely pause to ask why. It is not the novelty of the information that keeps us tethered. It is the immediate gratification of the act itself, the satisfaction derived from the mechanical cycle of input and output without purpose. The question, then, is what we are doing when we check our phones. Are we accessing knowledge, or are we performing a sophisticated form of self-soothing? We must recognize that this compulsion is not merely a failure of discipline, but a profound remapping of how modern life organizes the capacity for presence itself. To understand this impulse, we should look to phenomenology, the study of experience and consciousness as it appears to us. Philosophers like Maurice Merleau-Ponty taught that our body does not simply exist. Rather, it is the primary way through which we know the world. The environment gives structure to our movement, guiding our gaze, shaping our intention. In this framework, a habit like scrolling becomes an embodied gesture. It is less about information retrieval and more about grounding the self in a familiar physical rhythm. The phone, therefore, acts as an external scaffold for attention, providing a readily available field of meaningless stimuli that keeps the conscious mind occupied without requiring genuine effort or risk. If our default mode for managing boredom or uncertainty is to engage with these feeds, we are not merely consuming content, we are outsourcing our ability to tolerate silence. Silence, in philosophical terms, is often where meaning accumulates. It is the vacuum required for deep thought. When we fill that vacuum instantly with a stream of ephemeral data, we train ourselves to fear the pause. This creates what some might call an affective deficit, not the lack of information, but the inability to sit within the quiet potentiality of pure thought. We mistake high-frequency distraction for genuine engagement. This takes us into the domain of ethics and will. Thinkers like David Hume argue that habit is a powerful force in human life. We repeat actions simply because they have previously produced satisfaction or avoided discomfort. Our constant checking becomes a highly optimized, low-stakes mechanism for emotional regulation. When anxiety, boredom, or mild restlessness flickers up, the subtle signs of an unconnected mind, the phone delivers a predictable dose of serotonin via the dopamine loop. The pull is thus not purely informational. It is fundamentally psychosomatic. We are using the device as an immediate mediator against internal discomfort. This impulse creates a feedback loop that narrows our attentional aperture. Attention, we now understand, is a finite resource like time or energy. Every scroll, every refresh costs us something. The ability to simply be present with one person or to observe a passing cloud without comment. The problem is not the technology itself. It is its perfect exploitation of fundamental human vulnerabilities, our need for connection, and our deep, instinctive aversion to emotional neutrality. We are thus constantly performing an invisible work of self-management. We check the phone in public spaces not necessarily because we expect a reply, but because the presence of the device, the potential connectivity, serves as a social shield. It is a preemptive gesture against perceived judgment, or worse, the sudden weight of unmediated observation. The glow becomes less an indicator of external communication and more a necessary self-portrait for the surrounding world to see. The portrait of someone always available, even if merely by proxy. The thumb moves across the polished glass surface again, detached from intention, maintaining connection without requirement. It is not the content that holds us, it is the rhythm. We are not readers of information, but performers of a gesture, validating our existence through motion. The screen becomes an extension of the self, a constant feedback loop confirming that we have not been forgotten and that we still possess a navigable link to everything else. This constant state of low-grade vigilance, this perpetual readiness for the ping, the flash, the vibration, is perhaps the most profound shift in human attention since the invention of writing itself. We have traded deep contemplation for shallow connectivity, and in doing so, we have accidentally engineered an emotional dependency that feels both utterly natural and profoundly alienating. The phone is not merely a tool. It has become a mirror reflecting our deepest anxieties about belonging, relevance, and silence. When we pause, when the signal drops, there is a fractional moment of panic, a sudden vacuum where purpose used to hum. We fear the quiet because in that emptiness, we are forced to confront the self without the immediate distraction of algorithmic dopamine. This architecture of attention demands continuous engagement, structuring our days not around natural rhythms, sleep, meal, contemplation, but around notifications. Our lives become segmented by digital alerts, each one demanding a microscopic burst of focus and an equally small dose of emotional energy. And yet, if we were to truly analyze the sheer volume of these micro-interactions, the cumulative weight they place on our cognitive resources, perhaps we would realize that the connectivity we crave is not genuine connection at all, but merely the illusion of persistent proximity. We confuse being available with being present. Think back to the moment when this essay began, to the initial flick of the wrist, the reflexive slide across the glass. It was an act devoid of thought, a mechanical habit performed in public spaces, in quiet rooms, while waiting for nothing in particular. That involuntary movement, that is the core truth we are examining. It speaks not to information scarcity, but to emotional overflow. It suggests that the self requires constant external validation simply to feel solid.